today's session, and good afternoon. Before we start everything, this is the second session that we're having concerning gender empowerment. If you were here last session, the first session, we learned about gender-based violence. Today, we're learning about self-esteem and assertive communication. Among us, we are very privileged to have esteemed women who are actively participating in this initiative, who are here to share with us on the topic of self-esteem and assertive communication. Before we start everything, I am going to call upon Senior Counsel Emile Makuta, who will just come and give us some welcoming remarks. Now, let me give you a brief background of Senior Counsel. Sorry. So we are privileged to have her as our lecturer here at SoBES. She contributes a lot to the legal profession in Malawi. She lectures in corporate governance and commercial law. She is a lawyer with extensive experience in corporate law, compliance management, and multi-country transactions. She has been in executive leadership positions in the corporate world as head of legal department at NICO. She also has a passion to assist the vulnerable in the society, largely focusing on women and children. Women and children's rights, and together with two other female lawyers, she co-founded Women Lawyers Association in Malawi, which is a very big thing. Can we offer her a round of applause? Senior Counsel, the floor is yours.
Please use the microphone.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Lina, for the welcome remarks and also for the introduction that you gave. I would like to begin by warmly welcoming all members of staff present here and also those joining us online, students, invited participants, and all those present this afternoon. Just to appreciate your presence and your joining online. If it wasn't for you, there was no way we would have this occasion. I'd also like to sincerely thank my colleagues in the organizing team from the School of Law and Economics, led by the head of department, Mrs. Eva Mfutso-Bengo, who are behind this series of activities and sessions under the life skills talks: gender, be heard, be right, be safe, and be safe. For the commitment and juggling between teaching, examinations, assessments, and also being able to focus on this activity. I would also like to acknowledge and appreciate various pioneers within MOBAS from time ago. And I noted that at the last session when Mrs. Mfutso-Bengo was making presentation, referred to documents that we have, policies, and we also note that there's quite a lot that has been done regarding issues of gender equality, and also just making sure that have the context of what we're discussing this afternoon. Our gratitude also goes to the Association for Commonwealth Universities, whose support and funding have helped make this initiative possible, including assisting in publicizing and marketing of this event, and also a number of activities around this event. So the first session that we had, this is a series of sessions. The first session that we had focused on gender-based violence and sexual harassment. And we had two renowned speakers. We had Counsel Heza Misseleni, a passionate lawyer and working in the field of human rights. We also had benefited from the insightful engagement from Counsel Kumbo Soko, one of the country's renowned lawyers, and he shared practical experiences and also gave us a male perspective, which was quite significant and important for our students. They really enjoyed those two presentations. So together, their contributions provided both a solid legal framework and a valuable practical input. And they laid quite a strong base for what we're going to experience this afternoon today. So as you are aware, this is a series. And as we proceed with the series, today's session focuses on an equally important theme, quite significant and actually building from what we learned during the last session. So the theme this afternoon is self-esteem and affirmative communication. So that's the theme. So what is it that we're going to learn or we expect from our another set of renowned experts this afternoon? So self-esteem is at the heart of how individuals see themselves, how they engage with others, and how confidently they're able to assert their rights, and much more important, assert or set boundaries. In many ways, it is the inner foundation that enables a person to speak, to make informed choices, and to resist situations. And again, set those boundaries that at times undermine dignity and safety. Again, closely related to the issue of self-esteem is the issue of affirmative communication. That's the ability to express oneself clearly, respectfully, and confidently. It is about learning how to say yes, when to say no, and when we want to say yes, to be able to say that. And when we want to say no, to be able to say that. And when we mean no, to expect that others should respect that. It's about communicating our thoughts, our feelings, and boundaries in ways that are both respectful and protective of ourselves. So respectful to others, but also protective to ourselves. For young people, particularly in a setup like the one that we have the university, these skills are so critical. They help build confidence, strengthen interpersonal relationships amongst students, and empower students to navigate social and professional spaces that promote respect, equality, and personal well-being. Considering that in this setup, in this environment, we get students that are coming from different backgrounds, different social backgrounds, and also different experiences. So that's quite critical that we should have that kind of environment. So while this conversation will benefit all participants, that's one thing that we need to note and then be at least acknowledge and appreciate. The many young women that we need to acknowledge that there's so many young women out there that face particularly strong pressures compared to probably our male students. And that's something that we need to note and recognize and acknowledge. And that it affects their confidence, their voice, and ability to assert boundaries. So this session, the extension is that it benefits both male and female students, but still acknowledging the fact that our female students are more disadvantaged in that area. This session is also expected at the same time to help both male and female students better understand the importance of respect, more so empathy, and responsible communication in shared spaces that they have within the campus setup. So ultimately, conversations like the one that we're having are not about one group alone. That's something that we need to emphasize. And then that's why we have got, we inviting both male and female students, because the intention is to get both the male and female students actually benefit from this series of interactions that we're having. It's about building a culture of mutual respect, dignity, and understanding, where everyone feels safe to speak, to be heard, and to be valued. The good news is that although we might have challenges in terms of self-esteem and also communicating better, it's something that we can learn. In terms of any issues that affect our self-esteem, we can learn. And if there are any aspects that help us not to achieve our self-esteem, we can unlearn those behaviors. And that's why this afternoon we've got esteemed and qualified presenters and renowned experts who will guide us through these important themes. We've got Ms. Georgina Kanyanda, Ms. Mary Mesem Kandawire, and Itaezi Chinto. Welcome our experts. The leader of ceremonies, Lina, will formally introduce them in much more detail. So let me conclude with this thought. When individuals develop the confidence to value themselves and the skills to communicate with clarity and respect, they do much more than just improve their own lives. They contribute to building communities where every voice matters, every boundary is respected, and every person can thrive. So it's about creating a safe environment for everybody for the betterment of our own lives. I'll end with a quote from Maya Angelou that says that nothing can dim the light which shines from within. So may this session help each one of us recognize that inner light that we have, so that we strengthen our confidence and communicate with clarity and respect. And I'm sure that our esteemed experts will enable us at the end of this session be able to do that going forward. Thank you. Over to you, Lina.
Those were opening remarks, but I was already touched. So I figured that I started introducing people and I did not introduce my name. I am Ryan Nyanguru and I am a second year law student here at SoBES. So now we are going to start our presentations. First of all, we are joined by esteemed members from iMind who are here to talk to us about self-esteem. We're privileged that the co-founder is also amongst us. So now this presentation will be offered by Ms. Georgina Kanyanda and Ms. Mercy Kandawire. Before they come, a brief background. So I'll start with Ms. Georgina Kanyanda. So Ms. Georgina Kanyanda is a mental health practitioner working with iMind and a member of Malawi Association of Counselors who holds a Bachelor's of Social Science in Psychology and Public Relations from Monash University. She has extensive experience as a counselor in both online and independent practice, where she specializes in one-on-one sessions and group-oriented therapy using cognitive behavioral methods. Her background in public speaking and social integration makes her uniquely and qualified to lead interactive masterclasses for diverse audiences. In addition to her clinical work, Georgina is a dedicated mental health activist and blogger who creates engaging content to promote psychology well-being, Her professional history includes working with international organizations like JHPIEGO. Is that correct? JPIEGO. Okay. Where she supervised social workers and managed sensitive group therapy sessions. This combination of professional marketing experience and deep psychological expertise allows her to deliver diverse, high impact wellness sessions that resonate with both corporate employees and community stakeholders. Can I get a round of applause? Additionally, she's being accompanied by Miss Mercy Nkandawile, who is a dynamic social entrepreneur, marketer, and mental health advocate dedicating to transforming the landscape of youth well-being in Malawi. As a founder and executive director of iMind, a youth-led organization established in 2017, she leads a movement to make mental health support accessible, inclusive, and stigma-free for the next generation. Mercy holds a bachelor's of business administration from the Malawi University of Business, MUBAS. She's an alumni and has earned multiple certifications in global health, leadership, and project management from the University of Washington. Her professional excellence has been recognized with numerous honors, including the 2024 Customer Focus Award from Nation Publications Limited, and being named a finalist in the Total Energy Startup of the Year Challenge, second edition. She's a global voice for Malawian youth. Mercy has represented the country at international forums such as One Young World Summit in the UK and the International Conference on Public Health in Africa in Zambia. She is a firm believer that, in quotes, every conversation counts. Yes? And through iMind, she is turning that belief into a national-wide movement and support and hope. Can I get another round of applause? Regina and Mercy.
Here? Okay. Thank you so much, Rina. That was beautiful. Always, it's a joy to be working in this field and to have this opportunity to come here today to talk to fellow young people. It's amazing. I would like to firstly thank the management. I would like to thank Madam Fusto Bengo for allowing us to come here today. We do not take it for granted. And for me, my job today is quite minimal because the major chunk of the presentation is going to be handled by my colleague, Georgina. So my humble duties today is to just introduce the organization, iMind, what we do, a little bit, a little snippet, a little snippet of where we are coming from. But as I already said, I would like to thank management, Madam Futso Bengo, for this opportunity. It is not always where you see an alumna coming through and presenting. It's always amazing. For me, I find it a joy. It's a second moment. I'm like, oh, I'm back on campus, and I am very grateful for this. So I will start by just sharing a little bit, as I said, about iMind, what we are, what we do as an organization. We were founded in 2017. At that time, I was a student here at MUBAS, formerly known as the Polytechnic, the mighty Poly. So yes, Polyhua. I don't know whether the voices will come along, but Polyhua. So it was in 2017 when I founded the organization. I was right here on campus struggling with social anxiety at the time, and it was such a difficult time for me. It reached a point where I couldn't engage properly with my fellow classmates. I was finding it very difficult to get in class and concentrate in class. Sometimes when I would walk around campus, I stayed for the major part of my studies. I was on campus. So I was finding it really difficult to navigate around, to move around, to engage with people. So when people saw me, most of them were like, this girl seems like someone who doesn't like to engage with a lot of people. She seems like, you know, she's maybe in Chichewa I can put it Ndwonyada, you know, that kind of thing. But at that time, people didn't know that inside I was going through something. I was struggling. I didn't know where to go to for support. My self-esteem was at a low, like literally on the ground. And at that time, I actually felt like I would have failed my exams, literally, because even reading became very difficult. And just associating with people became a difficult thing. So you know how sometimes on campus we have the TJD, you know, area. I think this was also touched on in the previous session. I would, you know, when I would walk there, I was always shaking, like literally, because the guys they were like, you know, they would say all sorts of things. So I was nervous, and I would always think people are saying negative things about me. They are thinking bad things about me. That's why they are making all this noise. So as I said, my self-esteem was on a zero. But people didn't know. I would still go outside, and people would think, "Ah, that girl is, you know, she's always smiling. She seems to be okay. Like she seems like her family maybe comes from, you know, I don't know, some high-end family or whatever perception that they had, not knowing that inside things were chaotic." I wanted to stay in my room. I didn't want to do anything. So through that struggle, that's how iMind was born, because I was propelled to talk to someone. I wanted to talk to someone because whatever I was feeling, I felt like most people didn't understand it. So I went to my friends. I confided in them. This is the issue I'm going through. Are you going through similar challenges? And I would hear all sorts of stories, you know, others withdrawing from college because they're going through depression. Others, you know, they're not really doing well in their studies. And that's when the idea came to mind. I want to do something, because even when it is on campus, sometimes it's not always easy for someone to seek support right there on campus. Others even don't even know where to go to. That is a reality. You know, you'd be thinking, where do I get mental health support services on campus? And that was my present reality at the time. So I told my friends, can we do something? Can we create something out of this? And we came together, university students from various universities, not only MUBAS, some were from KUHES, some were from MCA, and we said, let's form an organization, and we're going to call it iMind, because we mind about our mental health. So the organization was birthed, and we do a lot of activities. We do awareness sessions in colleges, primary schools, secondary schools, in communities. You find us there. We do provide peer support services for young people who might need maybe some sort of support. Maybe they want someone to talk to. We also provide counseling services in case you need to talk to a professional, and referral services for those that might also need maybe some sort of high-end support from a psychiatrist or a psychologist. So all those are part and parcel of what we do. We also do create safe spaces in right here on MUBAS, because this is where it all began. We have a club right here. I think my colleague will also share as you'll be presenting how you can join if you're a student. So we have that safe space. If you want to be a member, you can join in. That is where we do a lot of activities. We do a lot of site visits, going to secondary schools. We have support circles where we talk about issues. And we also, apart from that, there are some creative elements there, photography sessions and the like, just to help you to express yourself, to find the tools that you can use to express yourself. So in a nutshell, that's what the organization is about. We also do a lot of media advocacy. So we have a radio program that we call Fresh Minds. In case you would want, we normally have that on the local radio stations. And we also have a podcast for those that might want to tune in online. So in a nutshell, that's what we are, that's what we do. And today, my humble duty was just to introduce that aspect of what we are, who we are, what we are doing, and we hope that you're going to really enjoy this next segment where we will dive into the nitty-gritties of self-esteem. There's help out there. As you can see, I mentioned that I've suffered from social anxiety, but here I am standing in front of you talking, and I don't even think anybody would even think that I have suffered from that in the past, because I'm always standing in front of people and I'm sharing my story and I'm doing all sorts of things, and people don't even know that I've had this as a challenge in the past. So if you're suffering, what I want to leave you with is, help is available, and I know my colleague would do a good job on that part. So Georgina, over to you.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everybody who's online as well. So, today I'm going to be talking about self esteem. So, what is self esteem? Self esteem is the subjective overall evaluation of your personal worth, value, and competence. In essence, it's just how you perceive yourself. Do you see yourself as somebody who is confident, somebody who can hold their head high, or do you see yourself as somebody who's boxed in or shy, or maybe someone who's not really outgoing? So, self esteem, right? It affects the way we live, but it also affects the way people treat us. What I love about the past subject involving JBV and assault, in many situations where abuse is involved, people with lower self-esteem are taken advantage of. It's actually a tool. So an abuser would say, this person has low self-esteem. Because you don't value yourself enough, it's easy for them to give you the value on their own. So if they see that you think yourself lesser and they have the ability to make you feel like, okay, this person makes me feel valuable, they take that and then they take advantage. So self-esteem is not just something you could think about in terms of personal growth, but even in other situations where you're interacting with people, whether you're a victim or not, it's good to be aware that if your self-esteem is too low, it's easy to expose yourself to situations that you don't necessarily want to be in. But I'm here today to teach you how to improve on your self-esteem and certain things that you could also look at when it comes to the positives and the negatives and the different areas that you can work on to raise yourself. So now we look at the different factors affecting self-esteem. So self-awareness is one of the main points. Being self-aware is important because it gives you the opportunity to look at yourself at a deeper level. Who am I as a person? What are the things that I like? What are the things that I don't like? What am I looking for? In certain scenarios, how do I behave or how do I react? You understanding yourself as an individual is part of self-awareness, and it's important because it helps you keep track of how you react to different scenarios, be it your life is in danger, be it in your daily living. Understanding who you are as a person helps you moving forward. Now, I also look at self-efficacy. So this involves one's capability to organize and execute actions required to manage prospective situations and achieve specific goals. Self-efficacy is also important. How do I function within, well, I'm talking to students, when it comes to my schoolwork? Am I doing things efficiently, or are there certain areas that I could improve on? And then the next thing would be confidence, the favorite topic on top of self-esteem. Am I confident enough to achieve the goals that I set for myself? Am I confident enough to say, you know what, this exam looks very difficult and I'm probably going to suffer, but I'm still going to ace it? Do you have that kind of confidence? And it could even be on the opposite side of, oh shoot, I'm not going to manage. I'm not clever enough. I'm not capable enough. So look at your confidence. Whenever you face adversity, what is your reaction? Could you confidently say, I'm going to walk into the situation, I'm going to get something out of it? Or is your attitude, nah, this is not for me. I'm not going to manage. I'm just going to sit here and fail and then watch life pass me by. So confidence is very important. And the final thing is self-love. Now, this is a very touchy topic because I notice, especially in victims, when something terrible happens to them, they don't love themselves anymore because they're basically stripped of their personality. Being in that situation can make somebody feel like I'm not worthy to be loved. I'm not worthy to be loved by anyone or myself. And it can destroy you as an individual. But the thing is, no matter what you go through in life, it's important to love yourself. You love yourself first before anybody else. And the more that you love yourself, the more you see yourself getting surrounded by people who actually care. People who say, you know what, I really do care about you. I do love you, but it starts with you. Loving yourself attracts other people in your life who bring positivity in, and it helps you shut out the negative. So, what are the benefits of high self esteem? So, we looked at the improved quality of life. So, basically, every day is better. You feel happier, you feel more energized, you feel more captivated, excuse me, to get on with all your daily tasks and other things that you love. There's also a higher success rate. When you have high self esteem, you have high confidence. Work wise, you put in your goals, you achieve your goals. School wise, you work on your assignments and everything, your exams, higher pass rate, better results because nobody likes being weeded. No one wants to be weeded. I understand that. And even in relationships, whether it's family, friends, or anything romantic, you find better people in your life and you have a better chance at finding somebody who can complement you. And then we also look at better mental and physical health. So mental health, usually in somebody with high self-esteem, because there's a lot of stability, their mental health is often stable or if not better, and there's a lesser chance of them having things like depression or anxiety. I'm not saying it's impossible, but there are lower chances in this case. And even with physical health, somebody with a high self-esteem who actually cares about themselves, they exercise, they stay active, they make sure that they stay healthy, and then they carry on in that way. We also have a more positive attitude towards challenges. I mentioned this earlier. If you approach a challenge saying, you know what, I'm going to nail it, I'm going to beat it, then you do, and your results are going to be great. And if it's the opposite, your results are not going to be great at all. And then we also look at agility and adaptability. Somebody with a higher self esteem is able to manage themselves through different scenarios. So whatever life throws at you, if you have enough confidence, if you have a high self-esteem, it's easier for you to deal with whatever is going on, be it family, work, school, anything that happens, you have the capacity to say, I'm going to get through it. Now, what are the problems with low self-esteem? So I've seen this in a lot of cases where there's a lot of self-doubt, where the person often is bashful of themselves. This is where you see conditions like depression, especially, where the person would say, no, life is meaningless, I'm not worthy of anything, I am incapable of anything. And you find that people with this self-doubt wind up shutting themselves off. They don't want to go outside, they don't want to do anything. Value of life depletes. And it's a very negative place to be in. On the other hand, people can take advantage of you. I mentioned manipulators earlier, or the other individuals want to take advantage of you. If they see that you're incapable of defending yourself, then they take advantage. They say, you know what, this person is a pushover. I'm going to do whatever I can to get whatever I can out of this person and throw them to the side. But I know that nobody likes being treated that way at all, isn't it? And then we also have the low quality of life. What's the point of even trying? There's nothing to look forward to. There's nothing to be excited about. There's nothing that they feel is worth their time or their energy. But the fact of life is there's always something to look forward to. There's always a positive, no matter how small or big. But people who have very low self-esteem tend to struggle with changing from that perspective, from everything is worthless to, you know what, even seeing the sunshine today is a win. Now, there's also a low success rate. Lack of motivation means lack of success. You're not going to pass your exams. You're not going to work hard enough. You're not going to achieve your goals if you're already at that low point where you're not putting in the effort that you need to. And then people pleasing can also be a different issue as well. You get by pleasing people at your own expense. In reality, the truth is you can't please everyone. Not everyone is going to be happy with you or whatever you do. And I personally do not feel like anyone deserves that kind of energy. Work with people who you feel are going to benefit you or add positivity to your life. And if you see that somebody is negatively affecting you, especially on purpose, give yourself the ability to step away and take yourself out of that situation. That's another way of empowering yourself and increasing your self esteem as well. So, here are some strategies that we can use to build ourselves up. So, there's healing from trauma or events that affected your self esteem. So we talked about GBV, talked about sexual assault, but there are other kinds of trauma. Maybe you had a rough childhood. Maybe you had bad experiences with your loved ones. Maybe you're even in a car accident. You suffered severe injuries. Different things like that. You need to heal from that pain. You need to give yourself the grace to say, you know what, this is what happened in my life, but I choose to heal and I choose to move forward because I do not want that to have weight over me and the way I do things in my future. My future is brighter, and my past, no matter how bad it is, shouldn't affect that. And then we have mindfulness. So when it comes to mindfulness, you use tools such as affirmations and meditations. So I'm going to ask the people in this room to just assist me with this. So I want you guys, everybody stand up. You look tired and lazy. Let's stand up. Let's stand up. So I'm going to need you to repeat after me. Say it with your chest. We're talking about confidence and self-esteem. Everybody stretch out. Stretch, 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 stretch. I want to hear a nice shout. Okay? So repeat after me. I am confident. Louder. I am confident. I am successful. I will prosper. I will do anything I can to pursue my own happiness. I am beautiful. I am handsome. Okay? So everyone, you can sit down. But you see how now you feel more refreshed saying things like that. You feel like, okay, now you know you're a bit more energized. These are things like affirmations that you can do even in the mornings before you start your day. Give yourself nice things you want to say to yourself and meditate on those things. And then as your day goes by, you'll find that things feel better and your experience is better as well. Then the next thing is goal setting. So this involves creating long-term and short-term goals. What are the things that you want to achieve in a short period of time and in a long period of time? So as you write out your list and you do each goal, you find that you feel more confident in yourself. If you can achieve the small things, you can achieve the greater things. So it's your responsibility not just to say you're going to do something, but proactively go and do that specific task or achieve your specific goals. And then there are principles. What kind of person am I and how do I want to be treated? Everybody is different. We all have our likes and dislikes. We all have things that we want in our lives and things that we don't. What are your primary principles that you carry in each day, depending on your personality and what you're looking for in your life? So I see that we have some magnificent lawyers here. What are principles that you want to carry? Okay, if I'm in a situation where I'm fighting in a case, I'm not going to let the other people bring me down. I'm going to bring this case forward and I'm going to succeed with a specific attitude. I will not be swayed. I will move in a different way. That's already a principle. How you conduct yourself in that specific room. So creating principles for yourself also give you an outline to say, if I want to keep my esteem high, I should follow these primary principles and keep them. And when you see that you're falling below those principles or those standards you set for yourself, that's when you catch it quickly that, wait, there's a problem here. There's something that I need to work on. Okay? And then we have communication, relaying your feelings and being true to yourself. Of course, my counterpart is going to talk about assertiveness, But communication is very important. As much as taking care of yourself is necessary and looking into yourself is important, other people also need to know where you're coming from. If you feel that you're in a situation where you're threatened or uncomfortable or you just don't like what's going on, communicate. I don't like this situation. I don't like how you're treating me. I don't like how we're approaching this. And you can even say, is there a way that we can improve? Give the other person an opportunity to say, okay, I hear you. What are different ways that we can improve and how do we move forward? Communication is very important because sometimes we find ourselves in situations where because we're not talking, we keep getting mistreated. And because of that, it just keeps going on and on and on. And the person at the end of the day who's getting hurt is just you. The other person moves on and they don't know that they've done something wrong sometimes, right? And the last thing I would say here is being unapologetically yourself. Be yourself. Be unashamed of being yourself. Because everybody is unique, but we all have something to give. We all have something that makes us special. And there's nothing wrong with that. Be your authentic self. And in being your authentic self, you give more to the world and you experience more. And we all grow together in that way. Of course, I'm not saying be pompous and proud. Humility is still a gift, but be unapologetically yourself. Okay, so we have a mini activity here. So my friends from iMind are going to be spreading papers around the room. So the question of the day is to, or the activity is basically to write about any events that may have affected or can affect self-esteem. So this exercise is fully anonymous. No one's going to write their names. You write anything involving this sentence or any concerning matters that you want to discuss. So that during our discussion period, we can bring them up and see if we can look at these different issues. Does everybody understand? Okay, awesome. So while they do that, I'll just continue with our presentation. All right. So I got this quote here that says, every emotional cut bears creative fruits. So this line is inspiring particularly because it says, you take your experiences, good or bad, and you turn them into something good. So with my work, especially with people who've gone through trauma, all kinds of abuse and things, there's always this thing of this has the power to either make or break you. But no one can make that decision for you. You have to decide for yourself. I'm going to take my experience and I'm going to turn it into something good. And there are different ways of doing this. You say, okay, what are the lessons that I've learned from being in these situations and what I've experienced? And then you turn it into something else. Or you help others and say, you know what? I'm going to take this and help people who've been through something similar. What have I healed from? How did I heal? And how do I support people? And you find in the process, you're healing yourself. So yes, healing from trauma works hand in hand with self-esteem. If you don't heal, you can't build yourself up. If you keep the weights of your past, it will just weigh you down and it won't give you the freedom that you need to actually build yourself up. So when someone strips you of your power, you need to be able to take it back. Now, this sounds very easy. It's not. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of stuff that you have to deal with, a lot of pain, a lot of scars. But as I said earlier, it is your decision to say, I'm not going to let this weigh me down. I'm going to take my power back. I'm going to build my life. I'm going to go and set my goals. I'm going to feel better about myself. I'm going to choose happiness over sorrow. And no one can take that away from me. But it's something that you have to do for yourself. So apart from of this as well is forgiving the self and others. If you did something wrong, forgive yourself. It's hard to forgive yourself, but you need to forgive yourself. And if somebody hurt you, forgive them. Again, it's not for them, it's for yourself. Because holding on to certain weights, as I said, it pulls you down and you give them power to still influence you if you don't forgive them. And then choosing to rise above your past. Your past does not determine you. Your past is a building block, whether it's good or bad. How do you use it to succeed or to grow further? And then you take strength from your experience. Of course, past experience, you should make you stronger, never pull you down. And then learn to fight for yourself and others. If you see that you're in a situation again, how do you defend yourself? There's physical defense, of course, but there's also words. I don't like this. I don't want to be here. Do not do this. And stand on it. And if you see that somebody else is in a situation where they're in danger or in harm's way, step up and say, you know what, I'm not going to allow this. Assist. Or if you feel that they're going through something, assist them as well. And then learn to defend yourself when needed. So, briefly, I just also wanted to show some of these famous people. Of course, my age is showing. But I found these different individuals very inspiring, especially in their times. So, for example, I won't say all of them in detail, but there's one, Brenda Fassie. Back in her time, it was basically around apartheid. Things were very hard. There were riots, there was fighting. But she still had the capacity to say, you know what, regardless of everything that's happening, I'm going to shine. I'm going to give people a reason to smile and to find joy within their struggle. So that's why I found her inspiring. And then there's Oprah Winfrey. She's super successful, super rich. But for her to even start her talk show was a hellish experience because back in her day, women weren't allowed to do talk shows. They said only men could. And she said, you know what? I don't care. I know what I want to do and I'm going to do it. And guess what? She did it. And then we have Jay Shetty as well, a person who has self esteem but is willing to put himself in a position to learn. So these different people have different ways of expressing themselves. Some outwardly confident, some silent and humble, but all knowing the self and what they're looking for because they understand who they are and what they mean to themselves and others. So channeling that and pushing forward brings you success. So that was primarily my presentation for today. But when it comes to the Healthline and resources, we have the Office of the Director of Student Affairs here on campus. And then we also have the MUBAS Clinic. And we have Student Representative Council as well. We also have Mr. and Miss Mental Health and the General Club, which Mercy mentioned. The General Club is a club that focuses around mental health and help like that. So if you do want to join the club, feel free. We have discussions every week. And if you just want to talk to somebody about anything that's confidential, definitely talk to them. And on our end, as the Ironman team, we have our number over here. And then we have Chiparajaba Foni. We also have the GBV Crisis Helpline, Vintage Health Wellness Center. We have me, Georgina Ganyanda. I'm a counselor. So if you want to talk to me, you can just reach out to my number or any of my counterparts if you want to book a session. And we also have Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital and your nearest police station. Of course, anytime anything happens, make sure to report. Always tell somebody, never keep it a secret, because you're not only going to save yourself, you're potentially going to save a lot of other people. But thank you, everyone, for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Thank you so much, Georgina. I feel like that was very helpful. I like this point where she said sometimes we are so afraid where the people that we think are affecting us don't even know that they're affecting us. I actually have an example. When Mercy was talking about her experience on life on campus, it happened to me today where I was passing by the TJD area and there were a lot of boys. They were just chilling. And I was like, no, I used the other way. I used the long way to get here. And I got here sweating. And they don't even know that they have affected me. I left my room properly. I got here sweating because I was like, I cannot pass there. What if I'm not dressed properly? What if my pants are too tight? It's a lot. Self esteem is a very, very crucial topic that we experience cautiously sometimes and sometimes unconsciously as well. Um, we're moving forward with our presentations. I know you might have questions. Just write them down and just keep them, and then we'll have a proper session where we'll go very. It'll be an interactive session where they'll answer your questions. So just write them down. Don't ignore them. feel free, be confident. The next topic is on assertiveness. It is being presented by Miss Taezi Chintu. Again, I'll give a brief background. So, Miss Taezi graduated from Malawi College of Accountancy with a Bachelor's of Business Management and Entrepreneurship. She holds 2 master's degrees. She holds 2 master's degrees. I expected everyone to look at me. Yeah. A Master's of Science in International Business from Hart International Business School, London, and an, a Master's in International Marketing from the Boston campus of the Hart International Business School. She teaches courses at Management Development Center and at SoBES. Today, she presents to us in her capacity as a leading figure of the youth chapter of SoBES. Is that how it's SoBES? Okay, SoBES Malawi. So, SoBES Malawi is an international peace organization that aims for mature mutual understanding between different countries and cultures. What she shares with us today is just a small part of her presentation for the International Women's Conference of SoBES in New York this year, which she could not participate, unfortunately. But I guess we're privileged to hear the presentation, isn't it? So SoBES promotes peace through travel exchange and personal encounters, but also through workshops on nonviolent communication. This includes the method of affirmative communication strategies. These can be used to express one's needs and feelings, to set healthy boundaries, and to de-escalate conflict situations. Even when she was supervising the construction of several community projects, she found such skills to be very useful. And I found such skills to be very useful to us today. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Miss Taezi Chintu.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Just a few seconds to find my presentation. All right, thank you very much for such a presentation, introduction to me. I'm so honored to be in front of you this afternoon. First, I'd like to recognize the ladies in this room, Senior Counsel Emily Makuta, Georgina Kanyanda, and Mercy Nkandawire, of course, and also Madam Eva Futsobengo for organizing everything today. And ladies and gentlemen, students in this room, thank you for having me. First, I would like to acknowledge the brilliant job that my colleagues did introducing self-esteem. It is such an inspiring work that iMind is doing, especially to tackle mental health proactively in such a manner that they're doing. And all right, one thing that I took note very well as she was presenting was that if you do not asset value to yourself, someone else will. And that is very dangerous because the last thing we want is for someone else to value us. They will do it at a very, very low, very low spot or place. All right, so I have been introduced already. So a bit about myself, not a bit, a lot about myself has been said already, but I think this is going to be relevant as I'm going to proceed to share a little bit of the practical side or a case study of what my colleagues were talking about. So I'm going to give you a foundation of self-esteem, and I will be the subject for it. All right, before I get into that, I am here representing SoBES International. And SoBES International is all about traveling and hosting. So the idea is if you go to Germany today, instead of going to a hotel, a 5-star hotel, which is pretty much the standard everywhere in the world, you would then be hosted by someone, a member of SoBES. You're going to live where they live, you eat what they eat, sleep where they sleep. And that way, the idea is that not only are you visiting Germany, but you're learning the culture. And that works vice versa. If we have SoBES members from Germany coming to Malawi, they do the same thing. So instead of going to Mount Sochi, perhaps, they come to your home. So they eat what you eat, they sleep where you sleep. Well, not necessarily where you sleep, but they sleep in your home and you share experiences, you share cultures. So in the process, they're learning more about Malawi as you are learning more about Germany. So that is what SoBES is all about. But the whole intention for this setup is to promote peace in the world. So it was introduced just after the Second World War, and it keeps running to this very day. So as a SoBES youth representative, I have been in that position since 2018. And I've also been the SoBES International Youth and Families Committee member. In this capacity, I have been volunteering, presenting about Malawi, organizing youth camps, and publishing newsletters in South Korea, Italy, France, and Italy again, so twice. And so part of my initiatives through SoBES was to be part of the United Nations Women session of Commission on the Status of Women. So this is a conference that is currently going on as we speak in New York. And my responsibilities there were to advocate for peace, of course, because it's a peace organization, to share about SoBES, and to showcase member activities. So within SoBES, we have members who are also doing other things. For instance, myself, when I'm not working or when I'm not talking about marketing, which is what I do all the time, I run a project in Kasungu where I teach young girls how to make trinkets from recycled materials, and then the trinkets are sold to then help to fund for their school fees. And so these sort of activities happen everywhere in all countries, in most countries that are within SoBES. And so part of the activities that we would do there is to showcase these activities so that people around the world can appreciate the work that women are doing. All right, so I'm going to talk about assertiveness, affirmative communication, nonviolent communication, and setting healthy social and professional boundaries. So to explain these, I'm going to use myself as a case study. So when I was growing up as a young girl, I have always had, average confidence, a few leadership roles here and there, nothing out of this world. But after I was done with my studies, I had 1 year of work experience teaching again. And then I decided to go, or I had the opportunity to go and study in London. And then it so happened that I also had to travel for SoBES. So it all just came at once. And then suddenly I found myself in an environment where, well, perhaps if it's in school, I'm in a group of 6, and I'm the only Black African in there. And then I wasn't active as I normally am. So I was suddenly quiet. I would only contribute the obvious things so that I'm on the safe side, just in case I don't say anything wrong. And then we would have presentations, and in the presentations, I was someone who could speak in public, but then this time around, after the presentation, I would run to the bathroom and my hands would be shaking like crazy, and so I had this mirror conversation with myself, literally in the bathroom, looking in the mirror, and I looked at myself, I was like, what's wrong with you? What's happening, right? And I think at that moment, it dawned on me that perhaps I'm a bit shy, but since when, right? Since when did I become shy? And, because of this, it took a while whilst I was still in this state. And because of this, I wasn't the contributing type. I was a loner. I wouldn't be out there like most of my colleagues have said. And then eventually I discovered that I had a feeling that what can this girl who has just graduated from MCA contribute to Europeans? I just come from a third world country. What can I possibly give that these people can value? This was a constant subconscious thought in my mind. It kept deteriorating my confidence, it deteriorated my thoughts. I was a creative person, but now I started to shut down slowly and slowly and slowly. And then I had to change things because it wasn't working out. This wasn't who I was. And then I figured out that, okay, let me contribute what I have. As much as I come from a third world country, and here I'm working in a hyperactive environment, completely different from home, but my experiences, my unique experiences, are valid, regardless of where I experienced them from, or regardless of what I did. And so with this mentality, I decided, okay, let me share what I have. And so I would do so. If we have group discussions, I'd say, okay, in Malawi, this is how it works. I would share my thoughts. And to my surprise, it turned out that this is what they were looking for. It was something unique that they didn't know. It was a world that was strange to them. And then suddenly they were more interested to find out, okay, so how does it work, right? And so my unique experiences, despite from where I came from, still carried that valid essence. And that turned out to be what they were looking for. And now I turned out from being this girl who was always in the back, never contributing anything, to being the person that they really wanted a contribution from. Being invited to committees, say, okay, you need to be in this committee, Tayezi, you need to come here, like pulling me across because they were looking for something that many people did not have. What is my point? My point is assertive communication, affirmative communication, nonviolent communication, all come from self-esteem. So it's a stem. So the root foundation is self-esteem. Without self-esteem, everything else crumbles. You could have that effort, but if the foundation is not there, it crumbles. It works today, and then tomorrow it feels like you're forcing things. So let's start with assertiveness. It's the internal capacity to stand up for yourself. The internal capacity to stand up for yourself. So, one thing that my colleague said that was extremely true is that assertiveness can be learned. Like many things in life, we can learn how to be assertive, right? And before we proceed to that, I have a few questions, and I'm just going to ask you with a show of hands as I ask this question. Can you say no without excessive guilt? Show of hands. If you can say no without excessive guilt. Show of hands. We'll feel guilty excessively, even when that no could save your life. then you would say no? What if it was not so obvious? Right? So that's where the danger comes in. So do you feel confident making independent decisions? Okay, that's quite a favorable number of people. All right. Are you comfortable believing that your needs are as important as others? Are you comfortable with that? That your needs are more important than others? Are they? More. Oh, sorry for that. Are you comfortable believing that your needs are as important as others? Okay. Are you willing to speak up if anything feels wrong or unfair? You're willing to speak up? Okay. That is a healthy amount of people that are willing to speak up. All right. So, all the questions that we raised our hands to all contribute to whether we are assertive or not. They do. And assertive communication is now the how. So at first we were looking at assertiveness, now we're looking at assertive communication. Assertive communication is the how are you then going to stand up for yourself. Assertiveness is the are you capable? Do you have the capacity to stand up for yourself? Yes, okay. If so, how can you communicate that? So assertive communication is the how. So it's the communication style used to express assertiveness. So it involves things like tone, language, body language, and language as well, right? So for instance, just an example, how language makes a difference. So we have households that speak English, right? On average, speak English. What happens when the mom of the house is really mad? Do they do it in English? Sinchichewe? So language makes a difference, eh? All right. Tone makes the difference. Again, have you ever been in a conversation texting someone and then they say something and then you're not sure, is this way or is it this way? Right? You can't really figure out with what tone are they using for this text. So tone makes a difference. And of course, body language. So we're going to look a little bit into that. Before we move on, so we've said assertiveness is the how. How do you transmit that information to someone else? The information that you are capable to stand up for yourself. How do you stand up for yourself? So I have a little bit of statistics to help us visualize or to help us imagine what assertive communication or how assertive communication is important. So August 2014, a woman in Kasungu, Malawi, poured hot porridge on her ex-husband over a dispute. November 2021, a 23-year-old wife in Zuzu, Malawi, was arrested for splashing her husband with hot porridge over marital disagreement, leaving him with third-degree burns. She was later released on bail. August 2021, a police officer in Salima, Malawi, was scalded with hot water by his wife after he brought home a child he had with another woman. December 2022, a 28-year-old woman in Malawi was arrested for allegedly scalding her 40-year-old husband with hot porridge after he reportedly sold 5 kilograms of fertilizer to buy beer. The incident occurred in Dowa district. The question is, are these ladies standing up for themselves? Are they trying to? Are they trying to stand up for themselves? Yes, they are. But the method is what is missing here. This is where assertive communication comes in. So, are you able to transfer or to communicate, right, by standing up for yourself in a way that does not hurt or break the rights of the other person? So you can be assertive, but how do you do it, right? And so the how is important. And so we have a three-part assertive formula. This is ideally a way to keep your rapport or your response contained, right? To avoid the anger from coming in and taking a hot water pot and throwing it to your partner, your friend. How can you express yourself to show that you are trying to stand up for yourself, or to show that something was unfair and you'd like to rectify the problem? So we have a three-part assertive formula, which is the when you dash, I feel dash, I would prefer dash. So when you, I feel, and I would prefer should be the dominant parts of your response when you're trying to assertively communicate. So, an example, when jokes are made about my goals, I feel discouraged. And I would prefer encouragement, constructive feedback instead. Does this make sense? Does it make sense? So you are clearly identifying the problem. You clearly identify the problem, and then you express how it makes you feel, and then suddenly you provide a clear solution that you would prefer. This way, you will be able to assertively communicate while maintaining respect and professionalism. So, in my own amateur way, I really tried to translate this to Chichewa, because I thought, okay, as far as we have a three-part assertive formula, it doesn't mean that all the time we'll be in situations where we should speak English, right? And so I really did try to make something out of Chichewa. Chichewa is a bit difficult because we don't have enough words to express ourselves in Chichewa. So, mumakhala dash, ndimaona dash, ndingakonde dash. So, mukakhala, in this case, mukakhala, I'm trying to think of an example to say, mukakhala, mukundi jeda, ndimaona kuti ndine munthu osafunikira kwa ine. Right? Ndingakonde, mutamandiuza face to face. Something like this. So I hope that this is also something that is a formula we can also use in Chichewa as well. Because as much as we would like to be assertive communicators, we should be able to do it in both languages. So in English and also in our native language. So again, similarly, you can start with mukakhala, and then this should be ndimaganizira, and then zingakhale bwino. Right? So that is our formula for assertiveness. And another is the broken record. So for those that are old enough to know what this is, it's a record player, and sometimes when it's damaged or something has happened, Imango, it plays the same part again and again and again and again. It doesn't stop. So that's where the expression broken record came from. To say goody, when it's broken, it never stops. So the same section, it plays again and again and again and again. And so this is another method in which you can practice assertiveness. So you can calmly repeat your request without escalating. Escalating means you don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to become physical, right? Just repeat what you're trying to say consistently. Here's an example. Just stay late this once. So this is a text, eh? Just stay late this once. And so this is a response. I understand it's urgent, but I won't be able to stay late today. And then, again, this person is persistent. They say, it's really important. And again, I understand it's urgent, but I won't be able to stay late today. What if he said, you know what? If you don't do this, there will be consequences. What should be the next response? What should be the next response? I understand it's urgent, but I won't be able to stay late today. This is how you stand your ground. You respond like this for 3 times. I'm sure the person sending the message will give up. Right? So, if you're employing this method, never introduce new justifications. So don't say something like, I understand it's urgent, but I won't be able to stay late today. And then he responds, it's really important. And then you come in, yes, I understand, but you know what? My child is sick. So I really can't stay. So don't change your justification. Keep it constant because it stands your ground. Consistency matters, especially when you're using the broken record. And again, no anger. You need to maintain your ability to stay subtle. And again, no apology overload. So in this case, we're assuming the next message from here was a bit